Have you wondered how some of the people go from absolutely nothing to making their first $100,000? In this episode, I'll break down exactly how some of the smartest money making experts, Alex Hormozi, Codie Sanchez, and Daniel Priestley, think, act, and build wealth, and how you can do it too. Welcome to Podcast Summarized. I'm Dimash Javar, and here we break down long, value packed podcast into short, actionable videos that help you learn faster and smarter. Whether it's entrepreneurship, AI, money, or mindset, I do the listening and you get the essence. Before we dive deeper, here's why you should listen to these three powerful voices. Alex Hormozi has scaled gym businesses into multi-million dollar empires. Daniel Priestley helps founders become thought leaders and scale their own personal brand. And unlike Alex Hormozi and Daniel Priestley, Codie Sanchez buys boring but profitable small businesses, proving you don't need a fancy startup to get rich. Together, they'll share a framework which you can use from going from zero to your first $100,000. And now that you know who's behind these insights, let's get into the main content. Let's start from ground zero. That's exactly where every entrepreneur starts. Now, there are two paths for making quick money or for starting your own entrepreneurial journey. First is apprenticeship, and second is entrepreneurship. So, let's talk about apprenticeship first. Apprenticeship is low risk job, and in it, you have to go find the best entrepreneur in your area who has already done that you've always dreamt of, and you have to go to them, work for them, learn while you work. And so the more you learn, the more you gain, and the more experience you get. Ask for more money, ask for more responsibilities, and for more exposure in the business. So that's how you're going to grow while earning more and more and more every single time. But the earning curve isn't as high as the learning curve. The learning curve here is going to be exponential, and you'll need to give in a few months. Now, who is it applicable for? I would say it is applicable for those who are freshers or who don't have enough experience in the domain or enough knowledge or network. So for those who don't have any of these, they can start with apprenticeship first. They can go there, learn, build knowledge, build network, build experience, and then come back um, with with a small amount of capital, and then start applying that knowledge in your own venture. And one of the biggest examples of it is Mr. Anand Mahindra. So think of it like this. Before Mr. Anand Mahindra became one of the India's most respected business leaders, he started out by working under his uncle, Keshav Mahindra, at Mahindra and Mahindra. He didn't jump straight into leadership. He spent years learning how the company operated, observing how decisions were made, and understanding what made a business truly ethical and sustainable. So that early experience now, it wasn't just job. It was an apprenticeship in leadership, management, and long-term thinking. When his time came, he took the Mahindra Group to global heights, not by reinventing everything, but by building upon the wisdom he learned firsthand. And that's how what you can do as well. You can do your job, learn, earn, and gain a lot of things, and then you can just quit your job and you can start your own venture, or you can just start your own business or your own venture, and then just turn it into an empire by learning the playbook of what you learned from your previous employers. And think of apprenticeship not as a job. So you're not working for someone here, you're learning from someone. So the learning curve here is going to be very, very high, and you learn a lot of things. And that experience is going to be pure gold for you. So if you're a first time entrepreneur and you have no idea how the industry works, I would very, very recommend that you should go with apprenticeship first. Then the second is entrepreneurship. Now, entrepreneurship is the do it yourself path. Okay. It's the hard path. It's very, very painful and tedious, but the rewards and the risk are probably very, very high. So entrepreneurship, in short, it is a zero sum game. So either you win big or you gain knowledge. So if you're winning, you're going to win huge amounts of money. And if you lose, you are going to gain a lot of knowledge that what you should do and what you shouldn't do, how you should do, how you shouldn't do, how you should have tackled this one, like just any particular incident, and how could you have done it better. So that is about entrepreneurship. And also, the pain you endure defines your growth. So pain is a very in-depth topic in this video, so we'll talk more about pain in the second chapter now. So again, if you're a first-time entrepreneur, be an apprentice first, learn everything, then move towards entrepreneurship, where you will learn the actual game of business and where you will apply everything you have learned in your apprenticeship. So now let's get moving with the second chapter. Every successful person you admire today has one thing in common. They didn't run from pain, they grew through it. Because pain isn't the problem, it's a process. And like you might even question, why do we even need pain? Or why is pain so important? You need pain because it's proof that you're stretching your limits. Comfort feels safe, but it never creates change. The gym hurts before you see the muscle. Your first sales call sting before you build confidence. The rejection emails burn before you land that one yes. Without pain, you can never build the capacity to handle success. And if we want to grow, we need to tolerate our pain to some extent. And for that, we also need to practice delayed gratification. So, back in the 1960s, researchers ran what's now called the marshmallow test. Kids were offered one marshmallow now or two if they waited for 15 minutes. Decades later, those who waited weren't just more disciplined, they were more successful, healthier, and happier. That's delayed gratification, enduring short term discomfort for long term payoff. In real life, that's waking up early to study, reinvesting profits instead of spending them, or just saying no to shortcuts that feel good today but may cost you your tomorrow. So, here is what most of the people miss. Learning is not just adding a lot of information in your brain or somewhere. Learning is the art of reducing pain. Remember your first cold call, or your first code bug, or your first time on camera. It sucked, might have been awkward, uncomfortable, and even painful. But repetition turns chaos into comfort. Just like learning to play the guitar, the strings hurt your fingers at first, but eventually the pain fades and the skill remains. And that's how progress feels, less pain and more flow. And not many people realize this, but here's the truth: pain is inevitable. You cannot avoid pain, but suffering is optional. You choose to suffer, like your choice to suffer is in your hand. So, the secret to choose the right kind of pain is the one that is aligned with your vision, mission, and goals. If your vision is to build a business that gives you freedom, then the pain of discipline, rejection, and risk taking is definitely worth it. But if you're enduring the pain of boredom, confusion, or just a meaningless grind, that's not growth. That's misalignment, my friend. Every visionary from Elon Musk to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam endured pain that matched their purpose, and that's why it transformed them instead of breaking them. So, the next time life hurts, don't pull back, lean in, because the pain you choose determines the person you become. All right, let's say you have a business idea, but do you know if that business is really worth it? So, before you invest a lot of money and a lot of your time in business, you need to know whether that business solves a real problem or not. What if you're just solving another problem which no one cares about? So, here's the framework which will actually teach you how to evaluate your business model. So, it's called the mode framework, where M starts from margin. You need to have a 15% margin, like net margin, in your whole business. a 15% net margin is a very safe place where you can save a lot of money and you can reinvest it later in your business. So your profits, not only just like a business isn't great because it earns, it's great when it keeps money. So that's why you need to aim for at least 15% margin so that you can reinvest the earned amount of money in growing your business or expanding your operations. Second is operations. Can your business run without your presence or your intervention? If not, then you're self employed, my dear. It's not a business. You're just self employed. So, a difference between a CEO and a self employed person is that a company can run without even the CEO's presence. But in like when you're self-employed, one of the biggest example of being self-employed is acting or singing, where you kind of give your time and your skills to those who have the money to run their businesses. And who are the businessmen here? The directors, the big movie studios. They are the main directors here. A stands for advantage. When all the arbitrage windows are closed, what is your unfair advantage? Okay, because having an unfair advantage when all of your sources are cut off is one of the most important things, and you need to have some unfair advantage here. Either it can be your skills or your knowledge or your experience or your insider information, like ki who to approach or who will help you when you are in need or when you're in distress. Then the third is total addressable market, TAM. So TAM answers the question, how many people really need what you are willing to offer? So it again comes back to our very first question. If you're trying to solve a problem, is it a problem that people actually need? Now, if you're starting a business, I want you to mark these four metrics: MOAT, margin, operations, and advantage, and TAM on a scale of 0 to 10. Okay, and then just sum it all up. If your score is more than 30, then it's a funded. That means you can go forward with the business and your business is going to do good. And if your business is somewhere in between 15 to 20, then mind you, you have to work on it. You will have to fix some things for making your business operation streamlined and making it more into the upper section where your business will run smoothly and it can be scalable. And the third is less than 10. So if your TAM score is less than 15 or less than 10, then it's a fleet. That means you need to fix a lot of things up, or it's better if you just drop the business idea and go forward towards the next, where you actually build a scalable system or a scalable solution which people care about. Once you have found your moat, it's now time to protect your castle, the profits. Let's start discussing about profitability and pricing strategy. And why discussing it is very, very important. It's because when you can actually save up some money from your profits, then you can reinvest it in your own business for growing your operations and your business. So, which is why protecting your profits is very, very important, and having the proper set of clients is also very, very important for it. So, if you just go and play the volume game where you will have very low margin, you won't really make much for yourself. And the volume game, the low paying customers, so the more you entertain the low paying customers, the more they're going to drain a lot of energy out of you. So our powerful voices have said this one thing, that instead of playing the volume game, we need to play the value game. We need to sell it to the clients which are getting some real value out of our services. So we need to sell it to the people who have got a lot of money, like business executives or business owners, and the ones who have got a lot of accumulated wealth. And also, the 60% of the disposable income is with the top 10%. And so you need to kind of get in business with the top 10% or the top 10% community for actually having a very decent profit margin, and for actually making money, and for expanding your own operations. And so the next thing which we are going to learn is how to price your customers, because many people say that you should charge all of your customers equally, which is a very idealistic way, but that's not how businesses work, and that's not how you can actually make money. We kind of charge customers based on three metrics, which are called the value metrics. So value metrics are basically is the metrics that the particular user or the particular client is getting the value from you. So here are the three metrics through which you can charge your customers. First metric is usage, or how much of your service are they using, are your clients using. Second is users, how many people use that particular service. And the third is value returned, or the quantifiable return dividend. So this point, the third point, is actually very very important, because the value returned is basically the value which your clients are getting from you by using your service. And so these are the three value metrics which you need to take care of while charging your clients. Next is customer segmentation for startups. This is very very important, because startups need to know that where should they spend their time and spend their energies with, and who should they target. So the top 1% people, no, they are the hardest ones to reach. They are intimidating, and like they are the hardest ones to reach. And so you need to, like, should starters and go for the 90% community? No, not at all, because like I said, we need to avoid the volume game. And so going to the 90% community is actually playing the volume game, which is going to drain startups a lot. And that's a very oversaturated market, and it has a lot of competitors. So I would say, in the top 10% people, leave the top 1% people, and you would have about 90% people left. 9%, sorry. So the top 9% people among the 10% people, the 9% community, is the most affluent niche and the most easiest ones to sell. And they are the closest ones to reach the top 1%. So the more your clients grow, even you're going to grow. Plus, they have also got a lot of disposable wealth to spend on it. And so this is why I think that you should kind of try to get into business with the top 9% community, and do business with them, and help them in growing their business, and ultimately even you would grow your own business and operations. So the next chapter we are going to discuss about content creation and influence. So why content creation is actually important in today's fast-paced world, where everything is based on content creation and influence. We cannot actually ignore this point, and content creation and influence both are actually very very important. And so content creation will actually teach us that where should we target our niche, and where should we create our content. And influence is one of the most important things. You need to build your influence in the online space, where you are actually influencing um, the your audiences. So it can be done through a very special framework, which we are going to discuss in the next chapter. So let's get started. So, guys, let's start with content strategy first. And before I begin, why content creation and influence is actually important. There have been social media influencers with over 50 million followers, but they have had failed launches because they lacked one of the most important ingredients, and that is influence. And this is what we are going to cover in this particular chapter on how you should start creating content, which niche you should target, and how to build influence. So, the very first thing on how to start content creation is by deciding that where you want to go get into. You can either get into education, or you can get into entertainment. So, if you want to be an educator, then you need to have some sort of proof or credibility of why should people follow you, or what is your proof that you are this someone who, when people can follow, can get the most out of your content. And in education, you don't really need proof. You can even use AI for creating some sort of clips or photos or recordings, and then you can share it, edit it, and post it, and you can create your whole content empire around it, your whole entertainment empire around it. And so, one of the most important points from this chapter is proof beats promise. And always keep this in mind, that proof will always beat promise. No matter how much you promise, you can never beat proof. So, this actually applies everywhere. And so, you need to do epic shit first and then talk about it. Because if you just talk and talk and talk and don't provide anything in return, or don't show results, then you won't be able to create any influence at all. And one of the most important thing is You need to have proof and credibility over your audience, over your content. Okay, and third, don't ever forget this point that 1% achievement is 1% effort is far more greater than 1% achievement. Everyone shows their achievement, everyone shows their happy sides, but very less people show their journey, their efforts, or the sleepless nights they've put into. So what I want you to do is, instead of showcasing only the achievements part, I want you to also showcase your efforts, your failures, where you failed, and how could you have done things differently. This will build a more trust with the audience and a deeper connection with the audience. And so this is what the content strategy is about. Now let's move forward with the influence framework, which is the SPCL framework. And so the SPCL framework S stands for status quo, P stands for power, C is for credibility, and L is for likeness. And now we'll just get into it one by one. So S stands for status, and status, you can get status by controlling scarce resources. So if there is something which people don't have or which people need the most, you can intercept in that area, and you can then set up your whole business around it, and that's how you control that particular scarce resource. And how you can do it is by seeing that what people need and they don't have it. So needs are something which can be easily fulfilled with a simple solution. So you need to get out there, you need to find what the people needs today, and then you need to intercept the source and create the whole scarce resource around it. And that's how you set your status as someone who has a resource which is not easily available with anyone else. And then the next thing is power, or P stands for power. And power is important, and you need to have power, which is very very important in influencing your audience. And you can build power by having proper tried and trusted steps, by which if your audience follows those steps, they will definitely get something really good out of it. And one of the biggest examples for it uh, is the chef Sanjeev Kapoor. So people started following his detailed recipes because he started making videos on his recipes, and his recipes were trial and tested. And he ensured people that if they follow his recipes, they will definitely get to make really good food out of it. And so that is how Sanjeev Kapoor gained trust of his audience and built his own influence and reputation. And so he also built his own content empire around it. The third point is credibility or proof. Like I said in the previous point, proof or track record always beats promises. So you need to have solid proof, or solid or very good proof of your work. It can either be any business which you have started before, or any project you have worked on, or your degree, or your expertise in, or your knowledge. And so your credibility is actually going to back your words, your promises. So promises are just hollow words, and your proof, your work backs your promises. And the L stands for likeness, or the similarity with your audience. So what similarities do you share with your audience? It can be physical, it can be psychographical, or it can be shared values. So if you have some sort of likeness with your audience, you can bond with them faster. And so you cannot connect with your audience unless and until you have a common ground where you can relate with them and they can relate with you. And so that is where the power dynamic shift. So the very first thing is streamers. Streamers are the ones who have got the most influence with their audience because they spend most of their time streaming and in bonding with their audience. And then comes up social media influencers, and then comes up actors who have got the least or the minimalist engagement with their audience. And always remember this: high influence is going to turn into high conversion. And so you need to have really good influence if you really want to have good conversions. So that was it about this chapter. And next chapter we are going to discuss about pitching and sales frameworks. So let's get into it. Entrepreneurship is a journey of 1,000 pitches. And here are a few pitching frameworks which you need to take care of if you actually want to raise more money for your business or for your venture. So first is the first pitching framework is the social pitching framework. So the social pitching framework is a pitching framework where you pitch in a very social setting or on a social media where you have 30 seconds to get people's attention. So here you need to remember it as name, fame, aim, and pain. What is your name? Okay, and what makes you different? Your fame, and what you are aiming for right now, your aim, and what is your bigger game plan, or what is the pain point which is solving, which is pain. Okay, so this is the social pitching framework which will actually help you gain the attention of the audience in 30 seconds or less when you focus on the problem that needs to be solved and how you're going to do it. The second is the capstone framework. It is a scheduled pitching framework, and the capstone is an abbreviation which means C stands for clarity, A stands for authority, P stands for problem, S stands for solution, T stands for traction, which is actually your why, O stands for opportunity, N stands for next steps, and E stands for emotional ending. And so the capstone framework is actually very, very important if you want to raise money for your business. And so clarity is what is your, like, you need to clarify that what problem statement you're solving. A, you need to have authority, and authority can be generated through your proof or your work. P stands for the problem statement, where you need to explain that what problem statement you're trying to solve. S is the solution to the problem statement that you are trying to solve. T is traction or your why. So your why is very, very important. People will ask that why you're in this field, you can go into some other field. Your why is the answer that why you are so invested in your business. O is the opportunity, or what are the future opportunities or the future scope of your business, and the N is next steps, or what you're planning to achieve in the immediate future. So once you achieve with this your immediate goal, what you're planning to do next, what features you're planning to get into, or what domain you're planning to get into. And then E is emotional ending. So emotional ending is actually linked with your why, and your why will actually decide your emotional endings. And so, if you have an emotional endings to which you can bond with the with your audience or with your judge panel, and you can actually say ki, uh, you that you are emotionally invested in this business as well. And so the next is you need another framework for raising money. So for raising money, you need to have, like, you need to make sure of 4 points to raise money. First is profits. So if you have profits, it's well and good, and so you can use those profits and reinvest them in your own business. So that's the one of the easiest ways through which you can raise your money. Second is growth. So if you don't have profit, you need to show growth. If you have shown growth in your business, that your revenue has increased, your sales have increased, you can still raise money from VCs and other venture capitalists or private equity firms. Then the third is history. If you don't have profits or growth, you need to have history or a proven track record or proof of your work. Like I've said, proof always beats promise. And if you have proof, you can actually raise money even without profit and growth. And then the fourth is story. If you don't have profits, growth, or history, story is going to be the game changer. Story is going to be your why you're so invested in it, and why you need to make your business idea work. And so this is these are the frameworks which you actually need for raising money. And so if you also you can also raise money, and so yes, these are the frameworks which can be used for raising money. So next up, we are going to see some of the sales frameworks. So let's get into it. Let's get started with the sales frameworks. And the very first framework was given to us by Alex Hormozi, and it is a closer framework. So it's an abbreviation for C is for clarify, L is for label, O is for overview past pain, S is for sell, E is for explain concerns, and R is for reinforce. So this framework is used when you need to sell your product or your services to someone who has actually gone through some sort of past pain, and um, they need like some sort of solution for their problem. So firstly, you need to clarify what you do. You need to label it, that how you can actually help them out, and you need to overview your client's past pain and then see whether you can actually solve it or not. Then you need to sell whatever your service is, the fourth thing. And the fifth point is going to be explain your concerns. Key, while using your product or your services, what are some basic concerns that they need to take care of? And the sixth point is R, which is reinforce. Now it means to just give your client some sort of assurance or something, that just in case if things go wrong, you can always contact us, or we'll be there, or you like they have some sort of guarantee or warranty on the product. And so that is how you actually sell effectively. And so, not like it's not the most perfect framework out there, but it's one of the best frameworks which actually analyzes that how a salesperson should sell, or how they should start selling. Now there is no such thing known as a perfect salesman. You just have to ask your clients more questions and to get to know them more so that you can sell them more. So the more questions you ask, the more information you get out of them, and the more you analyze it perfectly, the better you're going to sell. Now, for selling, you need to take care of a few things like your vocal delivery. What is your speed of talking, your enunciation, your volume, or when you should like when you should increase your voice, and your pauses. So pauses are like very very important. And so there was a meta-analysis done that if you wait for 8 seconds after asking for the sale, you are 30% more likely to close that sale. And so that is that's how you need to actually take care of your vocal delivery, and that's how you need to take care of every single thing that you build, sorry, that you sell. Okay, next is your body language. Now body language is apparently like a lot more important. You need to make sure that you are you need to make sure that what you're coming across as, you can come across as a newbie, or as a high standard worker, or as a high status individual. Now, if you can shift your identity levels which between these three, then you are more likely after you're going to be more better at influencing other people and getting more and more sales. And so there was also there's like also a study that women earn 20% more when they wear attractive clothes and makeup, and men make up 15 to 18% more when they dress in suits. So this study also shows that you need to dress well, you need to look that you are a high status individual for actually looking like high status individual. So your dressing sense is actually like very very important here. And the very next point, like I have repeated this point again and again, but this point is actually very, very important. It is like show but don't tell. Okay, if you just make promises without actually without actually giving anything or some sort of proof, then you probably won't be able to build that level of influence and show them the results or the numbers instead of just promises of what you're going to do. Humans are like visual species, and we respond more better to visual cues than oral cues. We want charts, graphs, numbers, or something which we can see or which we can visualize, not just something which we can hear or just fake hollow promises. So this is what is very very important. And so now let's get forward with the financial strategy and wealth creation, and that is actually going to be also one of the most key points which we learned from this whole podcast. So let's get to it. Let's get started about knowing about financial strategy and wealth creation. And let me tell you firstly that why financial strategy and wealth creation is important. Throughout the episode, we have learned about everything, that how to protect your profits, how to build businesses, how to know if your business idea is good, and how you can raise money and sales and pitching frameworks. So after learning all of it, we need to actually understand that how money works and how we can use money to expand our business and to actually grow our own net worth and build our own personal brand. And so before we start with anything else, we need to actually learn a very clear distinction about active and passive income. So there's a hoax on internet about active and passive income, where they say ki active income is something which gives you money actively, and that is like that can be your business which gives you profit regularly or consistently. it can be your salary or job. So that is active income, and the second is passive income. And passive income is something which will actually give you money over like some period of time, not instantly, but it will definitely give you. So many people on the internet, they have started talking about content creation and how content creation will actually generate your passive income and something else. But you need, but most of the people just forget this one point. It is very key. They start building passive income first instead of building active income first, and they get so involved in the passive income that they don't build active income ever. And their actually wealth, the real wealth generation isn't moving as as they planned. So what rich people do here is they have a very strong active income, and then they invest the remaining surplus amount into other assets, into royalties, into the in stocks or in their own businesses. So this is what rich people actually do. They have a very strong foundation first, where they get their active income from, and then they spend their surplus amount of income in the passive income sources. And this is what I want you to do. So instead of just chasing the passive income sources, I want you to build active income sources first, and then go and chase the passive income sources. So firstly, building active income is very very important, and then investing the surplus amount of money in the passive income. Then what are some like passive assets? It can be rent, like where you can get some sort of money. And so it can be rent, it can be royalties, it can be your data, your code, your application, or anything else like your stocks or your investments. And then you need to know that where you should invest into. So you cannot invest anywhere, you need to invest where you can see some sort of performance, or also known as performance assets. So performance assets are really important, and a few examples of performance assets are like having your own intellectual property rights. So your intellectual property rights can be through your data, your code, or your books, or your some sort of product which is not really available in the market. So you can create your own you can have your own intellectual property rights over those. And if anyone wants to use those rights, or purchase or acquire something from you, they will also need to pay for the IP rights, intellectual property rights. And so how you can actually use data and code. And let me give you one example for this. So Pfizer acquired a company. That company was in Shark Tank USA. So that company sold cat's DNA testing kit, because cat's DNA testing is one of the most expensive processes, and they made it too cheap, like not too cheap, but quite for some decent amount of price, so that the cat owners um, they can do their DNA testing for helping their cats in living longer with them. And so Pfizer acquired this company a few years later, because not of their kit, like DNA testing kit was actually a game changer, but not because of their testing kit. Pfizer acquired that company because of the data it had. It had about millions of cats DNA data, and that data was something really which was very 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 useful for Pfizer. And that's why Pfizer acquired that company later, which then actually gave the company lots of profits and the investors a lots of a very high return. And so this is performance assets, and this is what performance assets can do to you. So you can use intellectual property rights on books, apps, data, code, and so on. Then comes up financial engineering. So unless and until we understand how money actually works, we won't be able to use it to that extent. So firstly, we need to see that how we need to learn how to use other people's money for our own profits. If you're starting your own business, instead of using your own money or your own profits, you can get investments, lines of credit from other people or banks, and then you can use that money for expanding your business operations. So this is one of the most common methods that like high net worth people use, and this is how you can use it too. So you need to go to other people, and you need to tell them what your business is about. You need to get their money and invest in your business, grow your operations, and grow their money. And so that is how you are going to learn how to use other people's money. And you can also learn that how to use loans and how to open line of credits, and what is the basic limit of what is the basic limit of a line of credit. Then next you need to learn about banking and cash flow. Understanding about bank system is one of the most important things if you actually want to understand financial markets. So you need to go and talk to your bankers or your banker friends, and you need to ask them questions, and you need to get to know that how the bank works, how money works, and how money circulates in the whole system, and how cash flow is maintained, what is CIBIL score, and other type of financial instruments. Then you need to start with a P&L statement. So many of the startups don't actually go with a P&L statement, because P&L is basically P&L is profit and loss statement, and most of the startups don't actually write down their profit and loss statements. So why a P&L statement is important, because then you can compare your earn rate and your burn rate. If your burn rate is higher than your earn rate, then probably your company or your business won't last for long. And this is why financial strategy and wealth creation is very, very important. Now, the next episode, we are going to discuss about the uh, most viewed topic of the whole video, which is how you should scale your business if you have got $1,000 or a $10,000 or $100,000. So let's get started with the next one. Let's start with one of the most trending topics of the whole. Let's start with one of the most trending topics of the whole podcast, and this is scaling from $1,000 to $10,000 to $100,000. So, if you have got $1,000 in your pocket right now, how like this is how you should actually scale your money and grow your wealth. And so, the very first thing is $1,000 strategy was said by Alex Hormozi, and here is to learning some core skills. So the $1,000 strategy is pure skill play, and here you need to learn all the most trending skills which will actually get you a lot of returns. First is to learn sales. Sales is one of the most important skills which you need to learn, and most of the people like, create a very huge fuss over it. Why should we be like those salesmen, or just those people who only who don't have any skill in particular, and and who are just doing sales. But what we don't really realize is sales is one of the most important techniques, and sales is one of the most important skills which we need to learn, because we need to sell ourselves at companies, at pitchings, or at other places where we actually need other people's money. And so you need to learn sales, and it's one of the most important skills. Second, learn AI and how to create AI automations. In today's fast-paced world, where AI is actually dominating a lot, we need to learn that how AI automations are created, start building AI automations, and then we need to sell them to small businesses who actually need them. So some startups need a very small very small AI automation systems, like getting a list of all of their leads emails from their Excel file, and then they need to process it in Chat GPT. They want cold emails, and they actually want to sell it like send a cold emails directly to through their email ID. And so this is one of the um, basic examples of how you can create AI sales, like how you can create AI automation systems. And obviously, there are lots of other systems, and lots of startups need different systems. So you can learn how to create these basic automations, and you can start selling them. You don't really need to get into depth in it, and you don't need to pay for any courses. You can literally have thousands of videos online on YouTube. You can just go and search how to create AI automations using N8N or Claude and so on tools, and then you can literally create automation tools and sell them at zero cost at all. And so the profit which you'll get is purely 100%. So this is one of the most basic pure play strategies, pure skill strategies given by Alex Hormozi. So next up is the $10,000 strategy. It is given by Codie Sanchez, And instead of playing by the volume game, she suggests that we should actually go by the smart game. And so she suggests to do deal sourcing for private equity firms. So private equity firms have got large amounts of profits and large amounts of cash flow with them, and large amounts of surplus money which they need to invest into small businesses or acquire small businesses for profits. And so you can go to them and you can go and bring them good small businesses in your locality which they can acquire for profit. So you can select businesses with high upside growth or high upside profits or high upside potential, and you can take the offer to them, and ultimately you can have them purchase that business or acquire that business, and then like have you take like some sort of 3 to 5% commission over a single deal. And so this is a $10,000 strategy which Codie Sanchez has given to us. And the next is $100,000 strategy. It is given to us by Daniel Priestley. Now, $100,000 strategy is pretty different to understand. So Daniel Priestley has said the $100,000 is one of the most you know $100,000 is a very large amount, and it can basically go in your head, and it's a very dangerous amount. Okay, so what first time entrepreneurs do is they go and they purchase every single thing. They purchase all the things they will need with those $100,000. They'll go for a huge team. They'll go for secretary. They'll go for office, and they'll purchase every second thing, which is not really that useful, but they think is useful. And like before even starting their own businesses, they have used up most of their money, and this is how $100,000 is a very dangerous amount. And so, what you can do with your $100,000, you can partner with proven entrepreneurs. You can go to entrepreneurs and you can give them the capital that you have got these $100,000, and and then they can use this $100,000 in starting some businesses of their own, and you can take some sweat equity out of it. So what will happen is, you give them the capital, they run the business, and so they start the business, they run the business, and you work right under them. You gain knowledge, network, and reputation, and that is how you start building wealth out of your $100,000. And once you have learned enough, you can then exit and you can start your own. You can just withdraw from the business, and then you can start your own business, and you can use the earned amount of money in your second business. So this was the $1,000 and $10,000 and $100,000 strategy. We'll move forward with how to build career assets. So let's get started. The next most important point is not some other entrepreneurship technique, but it's a life skill, and it is that how you should build your own career assets. So all of the three powerful voices today, Alex Hormozi, Codie Sanchez, and Daniel Priestley, they agreed on these three skills, and they think that this is the most important thing that you need to have if you want to excel in any industry that you want to get into. So the very first is knowledge. You need to keep learning. You need to keep expanding your knowledge, because once you stop learning, once you stop growing, you stop your growth right there. Second, grow your network. You must have heard this quote that your network is your net worth, and this is one of the most important quotes. And your network is ultimately your net worth, and you need to go attend the networking events. You need to go out, you need to go out and meet people, meet bankers, meet investors and traders and other people in your domain, and grow and expand your network and keep connecting with more people. And the third is reputation. You can build reputation not just by giving promises, but by building actual proofs and by giving actual records of the proofs that yes, you have done some work, and you can actually do it in you can actually do things well. And that is how you actually build your own reputation. And so this was the end of the podcast. Thanks a lot for listening it till here, and just give me 30 seconds of your time, and a very huge thank you for all of my listeners for listening to this podcast. apparently I realized a lot of things that I was doing wrong in this podcast, and I had a video which was very very bad. I mean, it was more or less a very traumatizing video for me to see. So I created the whole video once again. I changed my surroundings, and I built a very fine script and lots of other notes. So I had to do everything from scratch, and that's why I couldn't deliver the episode to you on time. And I'm very, very sorry for that. And editings, like, there are not much edits that I did in this episode, but from the very next episode, I'm going to make it more podcast like, and I'm going to change my style a bit more. So thanks a lot for listening. And once again, I am really, really sorry for getting too late in delivering this podcast. And thanks a lot for listening to me till here. Thank you, and subscribe me and stay tuned. Thank you.